Okay, hello tribe. I'm sitting on the floor as per usual, that I like to do when I'm working. I wanted to do a video today talking about dilution and where we dilute ourselves. And this is inspired by a conversation I had with one of my clients this morning. And I think it's really, really important. I just also wrote a newsletter about it. And now I'm doing a video, so I'm covering my bases. It's really, 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 really important, you know, I think both for us in our personal and professional spaces, that we are aware of where we tend to dilute ourselves and our message and our presence. And I'll give a little bit of context. I had this woman that I was coaching this morning, and part of what she came to me was wanting to transition in the online space and looking at a little bit of her messaging and who she wants to speak to. And you know, what she started off as the conversation was telling me something that was really powerful, that she kind of said unconsciously about her passion in her work. And so here's an example. She's a therapist, and she, I think, is feeling a little bit, and I'll kind of talk about my own, you know, journey of this too. She's a therapist, and her fear is because people have a stigmatism around therapy, that she should go and call herself a coach or kind of put her work under the lens of coaching. But she said something really, really powerful to me at the beginning of a call about how she feels like there's a lot of people who don't recognize they need therapy, and they do need therapy. And what I really captured from that is a part of her message that's really, really powerful is probably unpacking a little bit of the stigmatism we have around therapy and enlightening to what, you know, therapy really means and what it doesn't. She kept wanting to kind of hide, or not hide, I shouldn't say, but to feel like because there's some discomfort around potentially how people perceive therapy, that it would be safer for her to, you know, call herself a coach. And my encouragement to her was, don't dilute the power of your work because you're afraid of what makes people comfortable. And in my own journey with that, you know, for many, many, many years, I was told that I was too out there or too woo-woo. And I had to really kind of hide those pieces of myself in my business and in my marketing, because I would never be able to make it by being woo or being spiritual, including working with corporate and some of the things I have over the years. And so for many, many years, I kind of was a closeted woo, you know, like my clients behind the scenes knew of the things that I talked about. Hi, Karen. But I didn't really share it, you know, in my presentation, in my work in the world. I really kind of hid these elements of spirituality because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to build a business on that, or that it would chase people away, or it would have me be ostracized. So I diluted. And I remember one time looking at my own website being like, it's not speaking to anything. And I had this moment of realization that I'm not being authentic. And I have this gut feeling that taking ownership of who I am in the world is really going to be the thing that's going to move my business forward. And for many of us, we have different catalysts. It's not just about our business. I think our relationships, our community, our tribe of people, when we're not authentic in who we are, we don't align ourselves to the right people. And we're not really creating healthy relationships when we're squashing our voices. I think it comes from an insecurity I know for myself, that I wasn't going to be accepted or embraced for who I was. I was going to chase people away. People wouldn't understand me. And what I really, so I get it. It's scary. You know, it's scary for us to really be who we authentically are in the world, to say the things that we want to say. It's scary. In 2015, I did a complete rebrand in my business, and part of the knowing of it was I wasn't being authentic, and it wasn't just crippling my business. It actually was really uncomfortable for me, because I think when we're not being who we are, we're the ones who suffer the consequences. And so the emergence of that concept of medicine really came from when I kind of sat down and said, what is it that I truly feel in my heart and in my soul is something I want to speak to the world. And this concept of medicine just kind of was something I was talking about, and I felt like this is my message, medicine and owning our medicine and what it is in the world. And And I was afraid people weren't going to know what medicine was and all of this stuff. And I actually had people say, you know, but my people know what it is. So I owned it, and I started to speak, and I started to, you know, share my spirituality and, you know, weave it into my work. And my business really kind of exploded in a really good way. I attracted clients. I started to make more money. And there was just a freedom and liberation I felt internally because I was speaking my truth. And so a lot of when I write something, you know, one of the things that I really create space for is, first of all, forget that I'm writing to publish or to be visible. And it's really like, what is the message that wants to move through me today? What is the most authentic place that I can show up in now? And I just write, and I just let that to come through, and I don't dilute myself because I think that's what people want or what will make me be accepted. Because when we dilute ourselves, we're actually taking away from the power of our presence in our work, and also, again, what we're wanting to attract in life. So why I've been able to kind of manifest the right community and the right people and the right clients is because I'm not diluting or dumbing down myself and what I feel passionate about and what my message is. And I think sometimes, you know, especially if you have a business and if you're wanting to attract clients, if you're skirting away from speaking to the essence of what you truly believe in and what you really want for people, and you're trying to maybe make it sound more marketing or more whatever, you're not going to actually connect to your people. So I think if we can just really claim the boldness of what we believe in and what we want for people and let that shine through, it's a very, very powerful place of connection. So there's many, many times where I still cringe, especially if I'm writing something, let's say on my personal Facebook wall and not in my tribe, where, you know, there's a part of me that's really fearful about being judged, or, you know, my family's on there and they're going to think like I'm such a whack job and I'm crazy because I have that programming from when I was a child. The one thing I also want to say to you is this: people judge. That's what we do. We are a judgmental society. People are going to judge you whether you're being authentic or not. So we have to kind of let go of that being the thing that stops us from being authentic in who we are. And but the people that are going to resonate, that's who it's for. You know, the people that you feel compelled to speak to or to show up for, or that you want to attract in your life. Your authenticity and your ability to speak the truth, your truth, and the power of your words is important. So that's the first half of this message. The second half of this message is this, because then I talked to this lovely woman and she started to share with me how she didn't really like to write. And I said to her, or she's not good at writing, and I said to her, you know, if you have an intention or desire to build a business and to transition online, you're going to have to get over it. So I understand it's really hard for us to be visible. And you know, I think where I want to unpack this a little bit, it's not just in our business. If you have a business, it's also in our lives. You know, I think it's the communication of who we are across the board. It's not just connected, but if you have a business and you're wondering why things aren't moving, I would suggest that maybe there's a piece of your messaging that's not completely capturing the essence of what you want to speak to, and you're not owning it, you're not communicating. Writing, doing a video, it's communication. So I said to her, forget about thinking about it as writing. And it's a little bit of like, you're going to have to let go of that mindset that you're not a good writer or you're not a good communicator, because you're never going to get anywhere if you don't find a way to communicate your truth. You know, we can't be silent and expect things to shift around us. That's not how it works. I get that it's uncomfortable. You know, there is a lot of times I think people assume because I write so much and I do videos that just comes naturally to me. I've had to work on it the same way as anybody else, but I appreciate that the presence of being able to share and communicate a message is important, and that's what it's about. It's not about people judging me for what I'm wearing or what I'm not wearing, or if I'm stumbling over my words, or if I'm not articulating things the way that I want, or if my grammar's all messed up, because trust me, I know that my grammar is not the best thing in the world, but you know, my community isn't connecting to my grammar. But we have to get over our places of discomfort of being seen and what we are contributing, you know, to the you know, through our work and also just in our lives. You know, I think when we're not able to be authentic in our relationships and just being present in ourselves, it impacts everything. So I look at this as, it's not diluting ourselves, period, whether you're in business or not. But if you are, you know, the place of dilution just doesn't really support anything. One of the things I think that's really important in terms of what I do when I work with people is helping to unpack and to give different perspectives so we can be courageous enough to show up in what we do. Our message is important, and I think this is the whole concept of medicine that I really feel passionate about when I work with people. Whatever you bring, whatever you're compelled to speak to, whatever message you have inside of you, the authenticity of your medicine and who you are, you're robbing people of that when you can't get beyond your own self-doubt or limitations or fears or whatever. And I think one of the greatest tragedies in the world is when we don't speak, we don't share ourselves. You know, again, whether that is your speaker to a million people or just the communication of the people in your life, and just really stepping into that. It doesn't matter the extent or the magnitude of what that is. I think to have ourselves, let ourselves appreciate and honor what we have to bring. And you know, honestly, when I was speaking with my client today, we were talking about these things. She was getting so lit up about her passion. I said, you just have to stay centered in what you're passionate about, and your writing and your sharing is just giving people an ability to receive your wisdom and your knowledge. So stay pure to that. Don't feel like you have to do anything beyond just that. It's simple, and I think it's one of the scariest things for us to do, is to not dilute who we are. And then there's times for me too where sometimes I catch myself as well diluting. You know, am I diluting the presence or the depth of the message I really want to bring? Am I hiding elements of my spirituality because I'm still afraid it's not going to be received well? Am I not showing parts of my personality because I don't know if it's going to be accepted out there? And so I think it's a constant kind of check-in, and I know when I'm being authentic and I'm in my place of wisdom and I'm sharing that, a lot of really wonderful opportunities and abundance comes through. So dilution isn't serving you. It's not serving you. It's serving your comfort, it's serving your fears, but it's not serving the things that you want to create. So if there's any type of stagnation or lack of movement in your business, I think a piece of it I would look at, am I really speaking the true essence of what I want to speak to the world? And if not, what's lacking? What am I hiding? What do I feel? What are some fears that I have around how I'm showing up or how am I being received? And what if I knew that I would be embraced for who I was? You know, I think that we have to look at, as much as we nurture that fear of we're not going to be accepted, you will be accepted for who you are. So I think that I understand the path of being afraid of being seen in our authenticity, and I'm sure a lot of us have had past lives where we've been put to death for that, but that's not happening in this lifetime. And when we take ownership of who we are, it's powerful. So I wanted to kind of give people that. And you know, I gave my client a little bit of a nudge, and gentle nudge in the behind today when I said, you got to get over your resistance to writing and sharing your message, because you can't say you want to build a practice or connect to more people, but then be in resistance and say, but I'm not a good writer and I don't want to write. Or I don't think you have to do video, but I think any type of communication and who you are and what you do is important, whether that's in person, whether that is in video, whether that is in audio, whether that is in writing. But you can't hide and expect for things to be felt out there. You got to show up, okay? And show up as who you are. So that's that little side piece of inspiration for today. As a side note, as you guys may or may not seen, I've been sharing about my 6-month mentorship space that's starting on Monday. We have a couple spaces left for people to join us, and I think the fundamentals of this container is really about empowering other women in their journey to, I think, really own and step into the spaces that they're wanting to create, professionally and personally, that you haven't had success with. So whether it's you haven't been able to get your business off the ground, or you're wanting to transition into leading different spaces, whether that's online or offline, if you're confused as to who you're speaking to and what your message is and where things are going wrong, if you want to have shifts where you see the results and the outcomes of what you want, so whether that's more clients or more abundance or feeling more confident in your voice and what you speak to, the the intention of this container is really about the empowerment of you and your medicine and the things that you're being created through that, you know, both in a very personal way and also how it impacts how we show up in our business. So if that's you and you know you need some help, because, you know, if we were able to move ourselves, we would, and you're looking for a mentorship space and you know that there's some big things you want to step into that you need help kind of staying the course and accountable till, and you kind of resonate with what I do, love to have you join us for the space. You can either PM me to talk about if it's a good fit, or I posted about it yesterday and I'll put the link in here again as well, so you can connect with me if that resonates for you. It's a combination of group and individual coaching, so you'll get both. I always like to do both because I find there's value in community support and also getting that one-to-one. For people that, I tried to make the investment reflect the value of the space, but also as soft as I can make it for people. If it really speaks to you and if you're really looking for support, but you're having issues with the investment piece, please talk to me, because there are ways that we can creatively figure it out to get you in the space. And I always like encouraging, if we can make it happen, to happen. So that's it. Questions, comments, let me know. This resonates, let me know. And otherwise, we will talk to you guys later.